Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. About a month ago, I did a video that was about the games that I remembered playing the previous month. And it just happened to be 10 games that I remembered, and I gave a little bit of a rundown of what the game was about and kind of my observations about the game. And it seemed to be pretty popular. I had several people ask me if I would do it again, and so I've been keeping track now of games that I've played in the last month. And so let's get right into it. The first game on the list here is called Landmarks. When it was first described to me, I wasn't really sure about it. I didn't get it right off the bat. But it's a game that has a clue giver, and then the other players are working together to essentially escape from this island. It's another one of those sort of pace-it-on theme things. But the landmarks, taken from the title of the game, are actually locations on this little island of hexagonal grid that only the clue giver knows what's where. And by means of word clues, they're trying to steer you across the island in a chain of hexagons that are your best guess as to where that clue is supposed to lead you. And then each of the hexes has either a hazard or a bonus or benefit to continue the journey and ultimately escape from the island. So what's clever is that they start out with 3 seed words. The clue giver needs to come up with a clue, writing a word on a hex. Clue giver hands it to the rest of the players. Then they have to decide where that hex should be placed in juxtaposition to the previously placed words, and hopefully get a bonus or escape the island or whatever. What I noticed was there's a lot of pressure on that clue giver to try to steer people across the island in just the right direction. I think it's a real clever mashup between a co-op word game, escape room kind of a theme, and that's Landmarks. We won the game, by the way. The second one that I want to talk about is one called Tiny Towns. I've really liked this game ever since I first played it. And basically on a small 5x5 grid, you are attempting to build buildings. And each building that you build has some value as far as where it's placed on the board, what other buildings it might be in proximity to, what other buildings have been built, other buildings of the same kind. There's a lot of different relationship things that will gain you points and sometimes special abilities. And there's a pool of resources here. And here's another clever part of it. If it's my turn and I choose to grab a resource like stone, then that means everybody around the table grabs stone, and they will place that stone somewhere on their grid. Eventually you get the right configuration of those resources, take them back off, and replace them with a building that has been built. Now if, for instance, I need brick, which I believe is the red resource, I have to wait for my turn to come around again to choose brick, unless somebody else around the table does, and you never know what other people want to accomplish their building stratagem. In addition to that, every player has a little secret mission that allows them to build a building that gives them a special power over their belts, or a bonus at the end of the game. It's very fun, it's very puzzly. I think the more you play it, the more you realize how much a choice now is going to affect things in later turns. And so you're more careful about how you position those buildings and assess their worth. I have seen iOS apps to play similar games, but I don't think Tiny Towns is available on the iOS. It would be really great if it was with an AI you could play against maybe, or you can just play it solo. If anybody knows about that, please let me know, because I'd really like to play that. Number 3 on our list today is a card game called Combo, except that it's actually called Surfosaurus Max. I mean, that's the original name of it. And then later somebody came out with it and rebranded it, called it Combo. Well, it is a kind of a fascinating hybrid sort of a game. It's part deck builder, part trick taker, part cooperative. The rounds include playing cards to win tricks, but the combination of all the cards being played by all the players during a round also are forming some sort of a configuration of cards. So like it could be a flush or a straight or high card, low card type of thing. And so you're not only trying to win the tricks to get the points, but you're also playing with the other players to multiply those points. When the round is over, any players that participated in that final configuration will get points for that. If there's duplicates, like if I have a 5 and you have a 5 and we're both part of this winning configuration, then we'll both get half points. And on top of that, if you win the tricks, you get a point for each card you've won at the end of the round. You've got a couple different strategies going at the same time. It's not as complicated as it sounds. We played the combo version, but I really think the Surfing T-Rex has got a lot to do with enjoyment of the tangibility of this whole game, especially the version that has the surfboard-shaped cards. I think that's pretty cool. So look for Surfosaurus Max. Now, a few weeks ago, we played Ticket to Ride San Francisco. Now, I kind of like this little game, not just because I like Ticket to Ride, which I do, in all its variations. There's a few of which I haven't played yet, but San Francisco is neat because you've got the trolley cars and you've got ferries, but they've also introduced some little bonus spaces with some chips on it. It's a real straightforward, great introduction to the Ticket to Ride family of games. That's a nice little filler. When you're the first to arrive at the game site and you're waiting for other people, you can just throw in a quick little game of Ticket to Ride San Francisco. I play Ticket to Ride fairly often on my iPad, playing against the robots. I don't know if there's a San Francisco version for the iOS. I'll have to look that up. Sounds really good. Ticket to Ride San Francisco. Another one we played that's just been recently published was called Fishing. It's a card game with a very loose theme of catching fish, and it's very much like the combo game I talked about just a couple of seconds ago. It is a trick-taking game, and this is one that escalates the number of cards in your hand round after round. Not every round, but eventually you end up with a huge fistful of cards. But what's cool about that is you can gain those cards from the draw deck, which is more or less stacked, so that the deeper into that draw deck you get, the more powerful the cards are going to become. But there is also a deck building aspect to this thing, so that when you win tricks, those become part of your private draw deck. And so when the next round starts, you start with a new hand from that private draw deck, unless it's gone. Then you draw from the main deck. So in a way, you want to lose so that you can continue to draw from the deck, because you run out of cards here. But you want to win because those are also points. And so there's a balance between those two methods of gaining points. Now there are also some other cards that you can play off-suit that allow you to do something special. One of them that was a real pain in my side was a -3 card. If you end up with that in your deck, then you lose 3 points from that. But there are others that allow you to call the suit for the next round. Another one that allows you to take a card out of the trick. No matter who won the trick, you get to take one card out of there, so you can gain some powerful cards that way. But then also, there's a overriding trump suit that won't show up until somebody gets to it in that draw deck. It comes in later in the game. A lot of interesting aspects to it, and very easy to play. I really enjoyed it a lot. But not only is this a fun game, I actually won, which really feels good. Now, I don't only play at the weekly game group at our FLGS here. I also play with family and friends on occasion. And it just so happens that last week my grandson was over, and we played The Good Neighbor. Now, this is from our NewVenture catalog. So if you want to go to the NewVenture website, you can read a little bit more about it there. And there's also a video, of course, on how to play. We were honored to receive a license to produce The Good Neighbor here in the States. It's part of the Alexander Randolph collection. Now, Alexander Randolph, as you probably know, was one of the most famous and prolific game designers of the last century. And this little game is a real good representation of his style. In the game, this little pegboard here is completely covered with colored pegs, randomly placed, and one of the pegs is white. Each player around the table will be moving that white peg. The white peg can only move if it is capturing the peg next to it. And because it's a hexagonal kind of a grid, there's always several choices as to which direction they'll go. And as it's capturing these colored pegs, it can occasionally get groups of pegs isolated, so you can't get there because you can't move without capturing. Now, your scoring is based on the number of pegs that you capture of each color. So if you capture, for example, 1 yellow peg, you get 1 point. You capture 2 yellow pegs, you get 4 points. 3 yellow pegs gets 9 points, and so on. And the score is the square of the number of pegs you got. And there are also a few blue pegs that are just straight up 10 points. And because of the way the random arrangements are there, you can kind of steer your opponents into going someplace that they might not necessarily want to go, but they're good for you. I like the insight into that 3 turns ahead sort of visibility. Now, you can play it with 2 people. When you play it with 2 people, it's straight up, you get done, you got your score. But if you play with 3 or 4 people, then when you get all done with your scoring, the white peg can't move anymore. You add up your score, and then you add score of the person to your left to your score, and that's your final tally. So that's where the good neighbor idea comes in that you want them to score, but not too good, because you don't want them to outscore you, right? So there's a delicate balance here that says, I'm going to give that person 10 points by jumping into this particular direction. You don't want their score to add to the next player's score and just defeat you. So we had fun playing. We played 3 games between me and my grandson, and he beat me soundly. Okay, there's one more game then that I bring to you this week, and that is Silver and Gold. I found this in my Christmas stocking last December, and it falls into that category of a flip and write game. And what that means is that you flip over a card, and then whatever's on that card, you write it on another card in order to win the card and win the points. Let me explain that a little better now. The cards you're flipping over have little polyominoes on them. And the cards that you're writing on have a little grid, as you can see in the pictures here, of squares that you're trying to fill in. And by placing X's into those squares in the shape of the polyomino that's available, then you're trying to fill in that puzzle. If you fill in a square that has a coin or a palm tree, you get an extra bonus point. And if you fill in a square that has a red X, then you get to put an extra X in there someplace. And this process continues for 4 rounds. That is 4 times through the polyomino deck. Now, I think it's a really fun little game. And I think it's basically my game. I do great at this. Now, my wife tells me that I win every time. I don't know if that's really the case, but I like winning, and it's a good game. So the other people playing are just trying to figure out who comes in second. I'm not boasting. It's just a fun little game. And it's only $10 on Amazon right now. A very high quality game, and I definitely recommend Silver and Gold. And so, for what it's worth, that is my collection of recently played games. I hope you enjoy this rundown here. Maybe there's some games that you didn't play yet or that you'd like to play. Games that you have enjoyed or not enjoyed. Please leave me your comments and experiences you might have had. If you have any suggestions for me, I'm always looking for new games to play. You know, I like the lighter games. I'm not really crazy about hack and slash games. I do like engine building and economic sort of games, and pure abstract strategy games as well. Always remember to subscribe and to hit that little bell so that you'll be reminded when I've got a new video coming out. So I'll keep track for the next month, and maybe we'll come up with another one of these summaries. Meanwhile, like I always say sometimes, be sure to play every day. Now, one more thing I've been playing a lot of is Megiddo. Because we're coming out with this new edition, I've been playing this game an awful lot. But my partner that I'm playing with is dumber than a rock. Actually, it's me. I've been doing an awful lot of playing to test out some strategies because I also have written a book on how to be a better Megiddo player. And in that book, there are a lot of examples of strategy and tactics, a lot of things to watch for, a lot of move-by-move examples of how to play and win the game, and some complete games as well. So thank you very much for tuning in.